Welcome in to the Bitcoin Made Simple podcast. I am your host, Corey Tusick. And ladies and gentlemen, the Bitcoin price is at an all-time high of, I believe it dropped back down maybe a little bit to $90,000. But yes, indeed, it was up to $93,000 earlier, like just an hour or so ago, which is absurd. It's not that crazy, though. If you've been in the space long enough, you know that this day was coming a long, long time ago. Just maybe not as quick as you wanted it to. Anyways, with all of that being, going on, I thought that this would be a good time because you might be new to the Bitcoin space. Are you new to Bitcoin? Welcome. Welcome to Bitcoin. This is what we do. This is what we talk about. How Bitcoin changes the world, how it's going to how it doesn't fix everything, but it kind of does. It's the tool that allows a lot of things that are wrong with the world to get fixed. And I wanted to give just a refresher. If you've been in the space, you could use this refresher. And if you are new to this space, you can use this as let's say, a comprehensive list of things you should not do or things to avoid or, just lessons learned from those that have come before you. So you should get a BitBox02 hardware wallet, though. You should. I'll get into that. That's part of this. But go to bitbox.swiss/Bitcoin Made Simple. Use promo code Bitcoin Made Simple to get 5% off of your order. And get a hardware wallet. And I know that a lot of you guys are not doing it. It's slowed down a little bit. I can see the traffic. It was doing better, and then it slowed down. And then it started doing better, and now it's slowed down again. And frankly, a lot of you don't self-custody your Bitcoin. And there's nothing against other hardware wallets, but they're harder to use, more difficult. And this one's so simple and easy to use. So, again, use promo code Bitcoin Made Simple to get 5% off. So anyways, I threw this out there on the Twitter Exosphere, and curious, if you guys see this tweet, go ahead, please reply with your answers, and figure out what you would like to add. But I thought I'd make a list of lessons for newbies, so I wanted to go through every single thing. So if you're new to Bitcoin, welcome. Number one, most importantly, is that all crypto outside of Bitcoin is a scam. 100% across the board. That doesn't mean that people have not bought certain, we call them shit coins. I'll call it a shart coin. Whatever, I'll call it a shit coin. That doesn't mean that there aren't people that haven't bought shit coins and then sold them at a later fiat value, a higher fiat value, and made a return on their investment. That does not mean that does not happen. What I mean by all crypto outside of Bitcoin being a scam is that Bitcoin is the only true decentralized monetary system that is almost incorruptible. There is no central point of failure. Everything else has a central point of failure. Everything else has a known creator, like the person that created Doge and the person that created Cardano and the person that created Ethereum. All those creators are out there. And most, if not all of them, pre-mined the coin. That did not happen with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is doing the opposite, actually. Bitcoin is still releasing to its miners, minting new Bitcoin, but on a diminishing scale, all the way until all 21 million have been released. When will that happen? Probably in the year 2140, give or take. So, the reward right now, in 4 years, it will be half of that. And then in 4 years from there, it'll be half of that and half of that and half of that and so on. Shitcoins all did the opposite. Shitcoins pre-mined. So let's just take Ethereum, for example. 70% of the coins were pre-mined and given to all the early adopters that were all Vitalik and all his friends, and they all got all these shit coins, and then they make it available to the public, and it's really like a pump and dump scam. That's what it is. So then the price goes up. They get ridiculously rich because people are buying into something that they already owned ahead of time, and really they provide no value. So you'll hear people say, "Oh, well, Bitcoin, you can't handle transactions as fast as Visa." There's the Lightning Network. Read into that. Ethereum, that's the only thing. It's people will be like, "Oh, it can handle quicker payments." Blah blah blah. It's not worth the trade-offs. The trade-offs are a centralized system. Then there will be the concerns that like what's the new Bitcoin? I want to get in on the next thing before it goes. No, there is no next thing. Bitcoin is it. To those of you that are listening, maybe in the future, and you're wondering, am I too late to Bitcoin? The answer is no. The only way that you're too late to Bitcoin is if it is the world reserve currency and it's what everybody is transacting with. But if that's the case, then you have some and you're using it in the future. So this could be somebody listening in the year 2200 and they'll be like, yep, nope, that's the monetary system that the whole world works off of. Maybe at that point people will be on Mars and there will be, relays that are relaying the Bitcoin, network all the way out to Mars and back. So yeah, that would be, you're not too early. It's worth about $91,000 right now. It was $93,000. It'll probably soon be at 100 or higher. And you're probably thinking, oh my God, how could I, I'm so late. No, you're not too late to stack. I thought I was too late to stack. Every single person that got into Bitcoin thought they were too late to stack. And you know what they should have done? They should have just stacked more and more and more. Because good Lord, I don't even think whenever I got into Bitcoin, I was hoping it would, reach I was like, oh, like 10K will be really cool. That'd be great. Now it's at 90 plus. So you're not too early or too late, because I thought I was too late then. And there's people right now that are thinking I'm too late. Just wait 4 or 5 years and you will not be too late. Just stack like crazy. Put the work in now and it'll pay off. But everything outside of Bitcoin is a scam. You should self-custody your Bitcoin. I already told you, obviously the podcast is sponsored by the BitBox02 hardware wallet. I would recommend you get that one because it's the easiest and simple to use. And I'm not just saying that. It literally is. It takes the scariness out of it. But this goes to my second and third point. You should self-custody your Bitcoin because exchanges can and will collapse and take all of your Bitcoin. It has happened time and time again. FTX was the most recent one. If you heard that, if you just Google FTX, they literally scammed everyone out of their Bitcoin. They collapsed. They were rehypothecating. And when they collapsed, all the people that were holding their Bitcoin on an online exchange, poof, gone. Never get it back. Mt. Gox was the original one. And people just got a settlement in Mt. Gox, but instead of getting their Bitcoin back, because the Bitcoin was gone, they got, I think people were getting paid out what their dollar value was of Bitcoin back in 2015 or 14, whenever it was that Mt. Gox collapsed. So, if you had $7,000 worth of Bitcoin in 2014 when it was worth $300, let's just do some simple math. For those playing at home, let's just say that you had $7,000 worth of Bitcoin when it was $300 a coin. So you had maybe, give or take, 23 Bitcoin at Mt. Gox, let's just say. And now the settlement came out because they collapsed, and here we are 10 years later, whatever it is, and they just sent you $7,000, and they're like, see, we made you whole. But if you had that $7,000 worth of Bitcoin, or the 23 Bitcoin times $93,000, $2.139 million, all that could be avoided if you self-custody your Bitcoin. And don't fall for traps. People will put out there. People will put yield. They will say yield. Come use this yield. You put your Bitcoin here. That's what FTX was doing. Put your Bitcoin here, and you'll earn 5% on your Bitcoin. And wouldn't that be great? Because then you'll still have your Bitcoin at the end of the day. You won't. You won't. It will collapse probably. People are human. People get greedy, and people make mistakes. Bitcoin is all about not trusting, but verifying everything. Don't place your trust in other humans or banks or exchanges, anything like that. You can put your Bitcoin on your hardware wallet. You see it. You know that it is there. You know it's there. And yet you still just like people still use exchanges and banks and all these other things. You can see it there. It's a hair-raising moment. It's a little scary whenever you transfer Bitcoin over to your hardware wallet, I will admit. It's a little terrifying, but when you do it, you will feel better. And you can also just send a test transaction. Send $10, because you type in the address and everything. You're like, did I get this huge character properly, all these characters right, everything? Send the test transaction. Once that's confirmed, you're like, okay, now I can send the rest. Yeah, so that, as far as self-custody, do that. Podcasts, you're listening to one right now. They're a great resource, but they are not the gospel for what you should do in your personal situation. Everyone's situation is different. And everybody's appetite for risk is different. But, like I kind of followed up in this, there's no shame in selling Bitcoin if you have to. Life circumstances change. And sometimes Bitcoin is there for that. And what does it do? It buys you time. So say you're saving up Bitcoin now, you're brand new, you're saving, and you save for the next 3 years, and it doesn't quite go, maybe you put, say over the next 3 years, you're able to stash away $15,000 worth, and it has grown, let's just say it triples or quadruples or whatever, and you have 60 grand in savings essentially. And then you lose your job or something catastrophic happens. Well, that money there, that has bought you a little bit of time. Use that wisely. There's conferences everywhere, and most of them are good, but they're overrated and underrated. The key is you can't just go to a conference and be like, here I am, conference, Bitcoin me. You got to go there with a purpose, with a reason. It's good for networking. It's good for, that's how I found people that are into, the business end that I want to be a part of and all that kind of stuff, and made great friends that way, and who are good resources for, figuring out what should you do in certain situations. So there's a ton of value there, but you can't just go to a Bitcoin conference and be like, all right, I'm here, Bitcoin. I'm going to Bitcoin now. It doesn't work that way. Meetups generally, I think, are better than conferences. So use a meetup. Go to meetups as often as you can. It's a better place for you to meet real Bitcoiners, talk about real Bitcoin stuff. Get prepared to slay your heroes, because people that you think are true Bitcoiners will falter and they will shitcoin. They will. There will be people that they get a lot of traction for whatever reason in the Bitcoin space, and they become this like big popular Bitcoiner that's on every podcast, and everybody's like, oh my God, I love everything they say. And they will, not all of them, but just assume, because it happens more often than not, they will eventually out themselves as shitcoiners. And so that's you placing your faith and trust in someone that you don't need to, because Bitcoin's not about them. It's about you. How does it affect you? How does it help you? And then also, I always tell people, don't buy Bitcoin with money you need in the next 4 years. That's essentially the way to say it, is a way of saying that you should only buy it for savings. So, don't buy it with debt. Don't get crazy. Just buy it with the cash that you're storing away for a rainy day. And you just do that over time. You'll be surprised. So that's a pretty good, beginner's guide. There's more, I'm sure, that I could add as time goes on, but I wanted to throw that out there and make sure that you guys, know that. Refresher for all of you that are Bitcoiners, and for those of you that are new to this space, maybe that'll help you avoid some of the pitfalls that we've all gone through, because I assure you, if you think you're the first one to make the mistake, you're not. We've all done it. We've all screwed up. So learn from the fellow Bitcoiners, the people that are still here, like the Guy Swans of the world, the Preston Pishes of the world, the people who have been here for 8+ years. A great one. I mean, he's a good shit poster, but also just a lot of signal. Hodl Magoo. He's a NIM that has been on the podcast before. He's been in it for a long time and still knows shitcoins. To find those people, stick with them. And there is no easy there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut. So just stack Bitcoin, work hard, provide value for others, buy a BitBox O2 hardware wallet, and I will talk to you later.